Welcome back, everyone. All right, we just finished up our few days in Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Park, somewhere in Idaho. I think it's called Cascade Lake, and I'm gonna do a quick recap of the gear I used, post-trail gear review.
We're gonna make it someday. Nothing's gonna get in our way. We will be the biggest band in town. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that
Wake up.
you don't miss out.
We gotta do a post-hike gear video.
We're taking our shot.
You're gonna help me,
What you
okay?
got? We're going all the
Archer,
way to the top.
you wanna go for a walk?
We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when
Okay, so for the post-through hike gear review, we'll start out with trekking pole. I think this was I went through 4 pairs of trekking poles. I started out with the Black Diamond Carbon Alpine ones, but as you know, the cork had problems. So I left those with my wife when she came out in Damascus, and she gave me her REI Flash carbon poles. And those lasted all the way to Harper's Ferry, but the top of the foam was falling off, so I had to replace those. So I ended up buying these, and these are, I don't know how you say it, Montum or Montum. I actually learned about these through Jeff Margovich when he came and hiked with me. They're $70. What I like about them is there's 2 different hand grips, so when you're going uphill, you can use the lower grip, and then when you're going downhill and it's longer, you just use the top grip. The only thing bad about these is the metal end. I had to replace it in New Hampshire, so I replaced the whole set of trekking poles. I contacted them because they have a lifetime warranty, so this is a good alternative to Lecky poles, which most everyone has, but these guys offer a lifetime warranty as well. I hit them up and told them that I was out of the metal at the bottom, so they sent me a free new pair. But other than that, that's trekking poles. That was a lot I was talking just for trekking poles. All right, we'll start on the outside of the pack. Overall, the Hyperlite 3400 Junction, I liked it. I know I was hiking with, you guys saw Whisperer. He went through, I think, 3 of these packs. He had a lot of issues with the bottom, getting holes in it and other tears. He had some problems with his shoulder straps. I mean, it's the same pack that I started with. I don't have any issues with the mesh tearing, the sides, the hip pockets. Overall, it's good, other than the shoulder straps, and the hip belt has 0 padding now. So I sent Hyperlite a note asking them if they could repair it, if it's covered under warranty, so I'm just waiting to hear back from them. Other than that though, it kept things dry inside. I did not use a trash compactor bag. I probably, if I had to do it again, I probably would, because it's just, it'll keep all the water out, in addition to the pods that I'm going to show you here in a second. I carried the Garmin InReach Mini, like a lot of people do. I also paid, what was it, $79 a month for the unlimited plan, so I didn't have to worry about how many messages I was sending. I could check weather whenever I wanted to, and I'm not sure I needed that, to be honest. There was good cell service, like everyone says on the trail. I probably had to use this a handful of times just to message back home, but I think what I liked about it and what others liked about it is they could always check where I was when I had it on. And I started out, I had it in intervals of 30 minutes and the battery would run out pretty quick, but then I later adjusted it to, what was it, 2-hour intervals?
Yes. It was a very nice feature. I know your mother really enjoyed being able to watch where you were every day.
So that's the main reason why I used it. I think Guthook offers an option to do that, but I would rather my phone not be drained by doing that. But I put it up 2 hours and this thing would last over 5 days. So, all right, deuce of spades. Yeah, I mean, I used it. I don't really know an alternative. I stopped using it once I learned how to do the grumpy cat poop, and find a rock and poop in it, and then put the rock back on it, and you don't have to dig your hole. So it worked good. All right, the entire time I used one water filter, the Sawyer Squeeze, probably the most popular filter on the trail. I did not have to replace the O-ring, so it lasted the entire time. The one thing I will say about this is the flow rate on it now is way less, and I've tried back flushing and everything like that. It still works fine, but if I was to do another long hike, I'd probably replace it just for peace of mind, because the flow rate is definitely suffering. Got a 2-liter bag. This lasted the entire time, but it's probably the last 200 or 300 miles. I noticed there was a pinhole, like a needle-sized hole in the bag, so when I would filter the water, I could see it squirting out. So I will have to replace this as well. Just get a sip of my coffee here. Okay, I started out with Crocs for camp shoes and river crossings and stuff like that, and I carried them all the way to New Jersey. And when my mom met up with me, I sent them back home with her, and I just got slip-on style Under Armour camp shoes. I just don't like Crocs, and they're big. They're not easily attached. Well, they're easily attached to the pack, but I just didn't like how big they were, and those I could smush down and put them wherever I wanted. Okay, so I had a February start, and everyone on Facebook scared me into thinking that I would need the coldest of cold weather gear. So I had a insulated sleep pad that blows up, and then I also, for overkill, I got this to put underneath it, and it was a full pad at one point. I quickly realized that I really didn't need all of that. I think a 3.5 R value sleep pad would be fine with the right bag. But once I got to Hot Springs, I took this sleep pad and I cut it into, well, I cut this little bit off. Once again, I didn't like how I could pack it. So one, I didn't need the full sleep pad. Two, cutting it down to this size, it's easily packed in the outside of my pack on one of the sides. And I would use that as a sit pad. All right, that does it for the outside. Well, that does it other than the Versa. So you guys saw me with this. I think it adds 6 liters of volume. I carried all sorts of things in here. My wallet would go here in a Ziploc pouch, and I'd have snacks. I would have earphones if I needed to, like one of the mobile battery chargers. If I was running low and knew I had to charge that day, I could put it in here. It adds a lot of volume to the setup. But the main thing and main reason why I got this was to carry, I carried a P365 SIG the entire time I was on the AT, and it was in that pouch. Lot of lessons learned about carrying it. I was going back and forth on whether I wanted to be armed for the hike or not. There's pros and cons. Obviously, it's a lot of weight. I had a lot of people telling me I'm going to regret it, while others said, no, you should definitely do it. At the end of the day, I made up my mind to carry one because I could easily do it with the credentials I have. I didn't need to get permits and everything like that for each state. I'm able to carry in all of the 50 states. So at the end of the day, I made the decision to carry because I'm going into town just as much as I would ordinarily. And this was primarily for people, not animals or anything like that. I wanted peace of mind that I could protect myself and others if I was in a situation where I had to do that. So that went in the Versa pack, and I carried it with, I believe this is called an essential holster. So this acted as a trigger guard, and it also acts, I can clip it to my belt or shorts or whatever. And yeah, so I carried it the entire way, didn't regret it. I was comfortable with it. Okay, I was just editing this video and realized I forgot to address the one thing I wanted to let you all know about when considering to carry a firearm. It took a good 1,200 miles, but carrying in the elements on the AT took its toll on my pistol, and it took a lot of work to get rid of some of the rust and corrosion and stuff like that that happen on the front sights and the rear sights of the firearm. So just make sure, if you have permits for every state, or if you have LEOSA credentials like I do and you decide to carry a firearm on the trail, be thinking of firearm maintenance, because I did not, and it took its toll big time. Even in the Dyneema pouch that it was in, it still got corrosion and stuff like that. So that was the one thing I wanted to be sure I told you all about. Okay, the tent, you guys all saw Z-Packs, duplex. I have no complaints about this tent. I love it. Really didn't have too many condensation issues. It's so easy to put up. It dries fast. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it. I used the MSR groundhog stakes. Those lasted the entire time. The only issue I have with it now is when I incorporated the van into the hike. We had a wet night and I packed it all up, and then I don't think we stayed in our vehicles in tents for another 2 or 3 nights. So this was wet in the van and it still kind of stinks. I've tried to clean it, but other than that, I love the tent. Just it's like a chamois camp towel. It's called Ace Camp. These came useful for wiping condensation or just drying dishes, whatever you need a camp towel for. But I like that. We actually have the same full-size ones in the van that we carry with us for when we shower in the van. All right, the Nemo, I think I told you guys, started with just a regular Nemo Tensor insulated, regular size. Once I swapped to the wide version, I was sleeping 10 times better. I love that sleep pad, and then the valve broke on me. I think I was in Connecticut, or that's at least when I got the new one. Maybe it was Massachusetts, I don't know. But the Nemo Tensor insulated sleep pad is by far, I think, the best one out there. My wife has the Big Agnes Q-Core, I think it is, and it sounds like potato chips. I know my brother brought his was pretty loud as well, and it was heavy. I got the upgraded Alpine one, I think they call it, once the valve failed, simply because they didn't have just the regular insulated one. So I got another point of R value with this one, and it even packs down a little bit smaller, but I like this sleep pad a lot. All right, let me just get a quick sip of my orange juice here. Okay, next, this stuck with me the entire way. It's kind of dirty. This is the Z-Pack pillow. It's also a dry bag. I used to stuff my puppy in here, some clothes in here, and that would act as my pillow. I think I did that for over 1,000 miles. The first thing that failed, I think this probably happened within 2 weeks. The Velcro did not work. I was constantly getting up and trying to make sure it was secure so stuff didn't come out, and then I just kind of gave up on it. So that did not hold up too well. But after I tried the closed method, I think when my mom came out, I kept the pillow that I loaned them for their trip, and I think it's just a Sea to Summit blow up pillow. And what I would do is blow it up like halfway and then stuff it in here, and I thought it worked well. But the Velcro on that one, that was the main problem. This is the Arc'teryx Cerium LT or CT or something like that. It's the down Arc'teryx hoodie. Love this jacket. Kind of stinks, but it really hasn't. It's losing a lot of feathers, it seems like, but it hasn't lost its loft. No issues with it the entire trip, and I carried it the entire way, even in the hotter months, just for peace of mind. Okay, so I started with the Z-Packs bear bag. They're lightweight Dyneema bear bag. Did that until, was it Damascus when you came out?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had my wife bring OpSac and Ursac. I like this much better. Yes, it weighs a little bit more, but I did not have to worry about hanging a bear bag after that. And in poor weather and whatnot, that's the last thing you want to do. The only problem with the Ursac, and I think I may have talked about this, but it doesn't fit really well in the bag. Maybe some of you have ways you do it, but I carried a lot of food. That thing was always packed, and I ran into the issue of I just could not carry enough food that would fit in that, even when I would put it in some of the pods that I used. So that was my only complaint, really. So speaking of the pods, these are the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Dyneema pods. I have 4 of these, I think, that I carried. In this gear review, I'm not going through everything as far as like toiletries and just all of the other little items, because that's just going to vary from person to person whether they want to carry it or not. So I'm just going over the big stuff. Okay, so I had one pod with all of my clothing. Not all of it's in here, but these are the main big things I wanted to go over. So I started out with gaiters, the Ultra gaiters, and switched in Hot Springs where I picked these up. I think the Dirty Girls, they live up to the name and the hype. Everyone recommends these usually. I just didn't start with them. These worked way better. They fit my ankles and legs way better. So I carried 2 t-shirts. This is the Cool variant, I think it's called. Performed well. Doesn't stink. So a couple washes once I got back. I thought I was gonna have to throw these away, to be honest, the armpits and whatnot, but they don't stink. I like this t-shirt because it was more form-fitting than a lot of the wool ones that are out there. I don't like baggy t-shirts, so
throw it over here and let me smell it. You're probably used to your stank.
Yeah, no, you do the sniff test.
There's a little odor, but not as terrible as I was expecting.
They are pricey. Those were $80 each, so. All right, Smart Wool. This is just a quarter zip, 150 merino wool. Still love merino wool. I did not wear that very much, and I started with that and the 250 weight and my Melanzana, which was just way too much overkill. I could have probably gotten through this hike with the down hoodie, my Melanzana, and maybe one of those for part of the hike. And that was it. I also carried the leggings, which I probably wore 2 or 3 times the entire time I was out there, only when I was sleeping. I don't have those in here, I don't think. Outdoor research, Helium 2 rain jacket. I think this is a pretty popular one on the trail. Not much to really say about it. All rain gear fails after a certain amount in the rain. This one is no different. I don't like how short it was. I think if it was a little longer, it would have been a little bit better. But I wore this more not in the rain than in the rain. So I'd wear my Melanzana and then this over the Melanzana, and it was perfect temp for some of those colder days where it wasn't cold enough for like a puffy. I don't think I've ever hiked in a puffy, to be honest, because it just gets too hot. Melanzana, I've talked about this before. It's good. Probably doesn't live up to what all the hype is about. It has shrunk, so if I'm going to get another one, I'm probably going to get a size up for the hoodie. You got one too. You like it, right? Or no?
Again, I don't think it lives up to the hype.
Yep.
I think it's just you're paying for the name.
Yep.
It's nice, but again, it's a little snug. Mine as well.
Yeah. I don't know the model of these gloves. They're the Outdoor Research. I don't know, the inside's fleece. My hands were pretty cold in these, so on the really cold days and windy days, or wet and cold days, these did not perform well. There were multiple days where I thought I should definitely have rain gloves, and if anyone was starting in February, I would definitely recommend getting some sort of rain glove for the first part.
How many pairs did we try
And
before
they
you
all
left?
suck, so.
Probably 4 or 5.
Okay, so this was the last pod. So when I started, I had the Enlightened Equipment 10-degree bag. I carried that all the way. I'm drawing a blank. When did I switch that? Pause it. All right, I think I remember, but let me get a drink of my milk really quick. Pretty sure it was at Bear's Den. I swapped out my sleeping quilt. So it was the 10-degree Enlightened Equipment, and I got another one of their quilts. It was just the 40-degree, so same exact model. Highly recommend it. I like it. The only thing I don't like about it, which is something I don't like about any sleeping bag or quilt, is the material. I can't stand how it feels on my skin, especially when it's a little warm out and it's just sticky. I don't know. I can't stand that. But this is one of the things I was going to talk about as far as packing. I like very neat pack, unlike Ben or Oopsie Daisies. His was terrible. I mean, he had stuff. There's no organization at all, but I would carry the quilt inside one of these pods with my cook system, and it fit perfectly. So, really safe space. Space saving. Got too much milk. As far as, I don't have anything to compare the quilt to, but I'm definitely a fan of quilts over sleeping bags. I don't sleep on my back, and this allowed me to sleep on my stomach and side like I normally do. All right, cook system. I may have mentioned it in the most favorite piece of gear that I had in the last video, but this was the Jetboil Flash. I would keep, I don't know that I'd bring this again. I don't think I use this at all. This fits at the bottom, and it just stabilizes the whole thing so it doesn't fall over, but I'd really never had an issue, and I probably wouldn't bring this again. I'm not going to take it all apart, but I like the fact that it packs down really nice and how fast it boils water. I was boiling water way faster than those with the Pocket Rocket. Not that it's a race or anything like that, but it's nice doing it quickly and then knowing that it's conserving fuel too. But I like Jetboil so much, we're thinking about getting their Genesis base camp system for the van, which is a 2-burner system. Shorts I didn't talk about because I don't have them, but I started with like this heavier High-Leat material. Worked well during the winter, but once it started getting hot and humid, I switched to just like an Under Armour mesh short, and that worked the best out of all the shorts that I tried on the trail. Went through 6 pairs of the Ultra Olympus 4s. Again, I don't have anything to compare it to. I know a lot of people love those Hoka shoes. I didn't want to risk switching them at any point on the hike, and just looking at them, I don't know, I think I would trip a lot with how big those soles are and whatnot. And then the insoles that I started with are the Super Feet, the green ones. I think they're called Trailblazers. I didn't stick with those. They offer a lot of support, but very little cushion, so I ended up just getting the Dr. Scholl's plantar fasciitis ones at Walmart for $8 to $10, and I would replace those every 100 to 200 miles. What else? What am I missing? I have a Katadyn water filter that I saw at home. The only person I can think that would have gotten that for us is my mom, so Jiffy Pop, thanks. I'm gonna test that out probably the next backpacking trip we go on, if I do it ever again. I'm joking.
Yeah, we were going to go on one today, but the weather and the dogs. You broke Archer yesterday hiking up the mountain.
Half mile.
He wasn't going to do 12 miles. No. Look at him.
Say hi to the camera. Oh, is there a moose out there? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? All is well. Okay, that's gonna do it for this gear review video. And this is gonna be the last video pertaining to the Appalachian Trail. So thank you all who have supported. If you want to keep watching us in that and where we go and our adventures, and maybe there's gonna be another through hike in the future. We'll see. But thank you. More to come.